A Texas landlord is facing financial ruin due to tenants who she's trying to evict because they haven't paid rent since last year. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and for once it's coming out of the state of Texas. Now, these problems that landlords face, they happen to us in the entire country. This isn't something that is specific to, tenant-friendly, anti-landlord places, okay? This can happen to you anywhere, including in Texas, including where I live and where I invest, okay? So when I tell these stories, it's for a specific reason. I want people to understand what landlords go through, what we go through, the cost that we have to deal with, and I want you to have a little sympathy on us. We're not all mega millionaires. We're not rich. A lot of us work regular jobs on top of being a landlord, okay? So when I say that, hey, when you don't pay your rent, when a tenant doesn't pay their rent, it can put us into a financial position so bad that we can go bankrupt. And we're not being evil when we want to raise your rent. We're just doing what we have to do to even maintain the property, okay? So I'm sick to death of all these stories about these so-called slumlords or bad landlords. The truth of the matter is, like I've said many times before, 99% of landlords are doing everything right. Everything. They're following the law. They are going through they're treating their tenants with respect. If they are dealing with the tenants, eviction, they're going through the legal process. They're not doing illegal evictions. All this stuff is not, it's all the stuff they say about us. It's just not true. Okay. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So in my opinion, the biggest difference between a landlord friendly place like Texas and a place that isn't landlord friendly, such as California or New York, would be that the landlord actually has the ability to remove a bad tenant from their property and set how much the rents are going to be. Okay, and when I say remove, I mean remove within a reasonable time period. Now, you can evict a tenant in places like New York. It'll just take you forever to do it. Okay, and then you might not be allowed to charge the rents. They're actually able to pay your bills so that you can maintain your property. So yeah, I hate too much government regulation. I think that government regulation is the one thing that is making housing unaffordable for people and making it almost impossible for landlords to be able to operate their businesses. So my whole thought is go to where there is minimal government regulation, but you can still face these same issues because you know what? The tenants, they didn't get the note that, hey, this is a landlord friendly state. They don't care. Okay. They'll still use and abuse you in every way possible, try to live for free for as long as possible, drag out any evictions, tear your property up. That's universal. You're going to see that everywhere. But anyway, let me get into the story, tell you about what's going on with this landlord in Texas. This article is coming from khou.com, and it says, Iowa colony landlord faces financial ruin amid tenant eviction battle. Property owner Okosia Donqua struggles with renters who stopped paying rent in January, pushing her towards bankruptcy. And that's the last thing we want to see is small mom and pop landlords being pushed to bankruptcy due to the fact that their tenants are they're stealing from us. Okay, so anyway, let's see what the article says. Brazoria County, Texas. A property owner in Iowa Colony says the tenants living in her home are driving her to bankruptcy. She says they haven't paid rent at all this year, and navigating an eviction through the court system is taking a long time. I can't even come to my home, says property owner Akosua Donqua. This is the most disheartening thing you can imagine. And I agree, okay? Simply put, going through an eviction like this where you have a tenant living in your property and who hasn't paid you in a while, it is tough. Okay, we've all experienced, at least all landlords who've done this for any amount of time. And fortunately, in a place like Texas, you can get a tenant out much quicker than in places where they hate us. Okay, but you're still going to possibly lose thousands of dollars depending on a number of factors. Did they tear your property up? How many months are they behind on rent? How long did it take you to actually file the eviction? I mean, those are important questions, and I'm assuming in this case, it might have taken her a little bit longer than it should have before she filed the eviction against this tenant, okay? So that might be part of the reason why she is down so much money right now. Donqua has owned a home in Iowa Colony for years. When she decided to accept a job out of state, she wanted to keep her property and chose to rent the home. What at first seemed like a good investment decision has turned into a nightmare. January, she completely stopped paying rent. February, no rent. March, no rent, she said. When Donqua says the tenants quit paying rent in January, she gave them a notice of eviction. Then she says she went to file the eviction at her local Justice of the Peace court in Brazoria County. She says she was told she'd have to wait until at least 30 days had passed. They won't pay rent, she said. They've been living in my house for months. They won't pay rent. So I think that 30-day thing is one of the COVID regulations that some states have not gotten rid of yet, because I believe that Iowa was the first state that said, oh, we're not going to listen to that 30-day thing anymore. And apparently Texas has not gotten rid of that rule just yet. Okay, so couple of things, just reading that, sounds like she's an out-of-state landlord, okay, and kind of an accidental landlord at that. So this is a property that she used to live in. Rather than selling the property when she moved out of state, she decided to hold on to it and rent it out. Now, I have no problem with this, okay? This is actually a good way to get your first rental property. In fact, I own a couple of homes right now that used to be my primary residence, okay? And I just turned them into rentals after we moved out. So I have no problem with that at all. However, okay, and this is a big however, if you are not an experienced landlord, there is a chance that this could go wrong. And in this situation, that's exactly what happened, okay? Things did not go right, and now you're facing financial difficulties. So, what's going to happen in this case? Eventually this lady, she's going to get these tenants out of there, and most likely she's going to sell the property. Okay, that's what I would do if, I lost, thousands of dollars to a tenant who wasn't paying me, possibly tore the property up, and now I'm sitting here facing financial ruin. Do you think I would, especially if that's your only rental, do you think I would want to continue being a landlord? Of course not, okay? So you wonder what happens in these sort of cases. Well, the small mom and pop landlords, such as this lady here, she's going to get out of the business. So there's going to be less housing available for those who want it, okay? Less rental housing available for those who want and need it. So this can be, this whole situation could happen anywhere in the entire country. Now, in Texas, they're probably going to be okay. They're probably going to be okay. They don't have all the restrictions on building, and there's not all the anti-landlord laws in place, so it'll probably be okay. But imagine you're driving small mom and pop landlords out of business in a place like New York. Yeah, that's what you need to understand, okay? These very same laws, these rules and regulations, that destroy the finances of small mom and pop landlords, when it happens in New York, it's way more devastating, and the people they cut and run, and I can't blame them. Okay, I would do the exact same. So, what would you do? Okay, if you were a landlord in this situation, would you sell the property? Would you try to get another better tenant up in there? Honestly, I like being a landlord. I like owning rental properties. I have a large emergency reserve, and I have greatly increased the screening criteria I have for my tenants. So I probably wouldn't sell the property, like a few months lost rent. I've experienced that many times at this point, so it would not be the end of the world for me. It would suck. It always sucks, but it is what it is. So, put a comment section down below. Let me know what you think of the situation. I'll put a link to the article in the description.